Hello everyone, I hope all of you have already gone through the first lecture that was actually orientation session, and this is the new series on NCERT which has been brought to you by Sunya IAS. Obviously you are watching this. Understand now that we are going to start from the lecture number 1 and we'll be starting from the modern history section. The lecture number 1 is going to be the first chapter of the old NCERT. That's where we are going to start from. So what we are going to refer in this lecture, what the topics, the sections we are going to cover. Decline of Mughal Empire, that's the heading of the topic, and all the things which we are going to discuss in this lecture, you can find it in the two specific books, or the specific pages will be given to you along with the lecture, so not to worry, nahi padega. But still I am telling you that if you are referring to the old NCERT, that is Bipin Chandra, it's the first chapter. If you are referring to the new NCERT, it's the class 7th, chapter 10th, means the very last chapter of the medieval history section. Okay, over there you will cover some of the topics. Okay, because that was the last stage of the Mughal Empire, and that is what we are going to discuss in this class. That Aurangzeb passed away. So what was happening in those times in India? That's the basic objective of the class. Beyond this specific topics, let's see. So in front of you on the screen, you can see. Let me explain this thing one by one. Indian subcontinent in 1707. That's where we have to start. Okay. Then administrative and economic situation of the empire. Now again, I am focusing on this section, this thing, that understand. It's very essential. Sometimes it's fine if you don't remember the name of the ruler, and this is applicable on all ancient, medieval, modern history. Name of the ruler is no more important. Name of the war, no more important. What happened in the outcome of the particular issue? What happened to the people on the ground? How the society was running at that in that point of time? Those things are something which are more essential, and therefore when we are talking about the Indian subcontinent, because 1707 is the year when Aurangzeb passed away. Okay, Aurangzeb passed away at the youthful age of 89 or 90 also. Some people say it's 90, some people say it's 89. So administrative and economic situation of the Mughal Empire at that time, we will have to look into. Then he was succeeded by his son Bahadur Shah first. Okay, his name was Prince Muazzam. Once he became the new emperor, he took the title of Bahadur Shah. There was another Bahadur Shah. Then in records, his name was changed to Bahadur Shah first. Okay, so we'll be talking about him. Again, there's not too much which we have to learn about him. We don't have to go into his personal life. What we have to do is, in his time period when he ruled between 1707 and 1712, what were the major policy initiatives he took? That's what we are going to focus in the class. Then next we'll move into the phases of instability. Now, after this, there are many rulers. For example, I'll just name them. You don't have to remember them. We'll be looking one by one each of them. Jahandar Shah, Farrukh Shiar, Muhammad Shah Rangila. Okay, and then two more, and then Shah Alam will come, and then you will see Akbar Shah will come, and then you will see Bahadur Shah Zafar will come. But those leaders, those kings, you don't have to focus too much on their name, their personal preferences. No, what it will be covered in a single section, that will be the phases of instability, because these rulers were not too powerful. These rulers were not considered too capable. Okay, they have got into the power because the single sole region of hereditary, they were the successor, they came from the family, and they was made to sit in the throne. Although in those times the real power center was someone else itself. Sometimes it were their prime ministers, the wazirs, okay, or sometimes someone else. So we'll be looking into that, who these people were who were actually controlling the power, and what they did with that power and how it impacted the people and the society at large. Okay, so in this section we will be talking about the two incapable rulers, Jahandar Shah and Farrukh Shah. Jahandar Shah ruled for just 1 year, 1712 and 1713. Then Farrukh Shah ruled between 1713 and 1719. Then we'll be talking about policy of Zulfikar Khan and Sayyid brothers. Zulfikar Khan and Sayyid brothers were basically the prime ministers of Jahandar Shah and Farrukh Shah respectively. Okay, so we'll be talking because effectively they were the rulers, okay, not the above ones. Now, reign of Muhammad Shah Rangila, he was actually he lasted in office for very long, but he is again considered one of the degenerates. That is, he was not a capable one. He was not someone who had the fire in the belly to fight for his office. He was just having fun with the time, and he just was born and with a silver spoon and lived in wealth. So he enjoyed his wealth and died. And before dying, he faced the period of Nadir Shah's invasion and also lost most of the money Mughals had. Okay, but we'll be talking about him. Reign of Muhammad Shah Rangila between 1720 and 1748. Okay, disintegration of the empire started, or disintegration of empire started during his time only, in the initial phase of his time only. So we'll be talking about them. That who were the governors like Sadat Khan, Mushid Quli Khan, Nizamul Mulk, okay, all these people, how they were appointed as a governor and then they went on to become ruling elite or first hereditary Subedar and then in a way independent rulers in their specific regions. So we'll be talking about that here. And at this time we'll also talk about the foreign invasions, and there were two in specific. Nadir Shah's invasion of 1739, I said 19, sorry for that. 1739, and Ahmad Shah Abdali's invasion. He actually invaded India 8 times between 1748 and 1768. But his fifth invasion included the Battle of Panipat. So that is the most important thing, and we will be discussing that here in this lecture. Then we'll be also talking about the major causes of decline of Mughal Empire. So you'll say, sir, baki sab kya tha? So understand it like this, that in a way, in a one single last slide, I will give you all the information which will be needed. That look, these are the major reasons why Mughal Empire declined in a single go. Okay, that's how we will do it. Okay, so that's the idea, that's the whole funda which we have to do in this class. Let's proceed, let's start with the class and let's see how it will be done. So in front of you, there's a map. In this map, you can see the disintegration of the Mughal Empire between 1707 and 1766. Now, what happened in these two times, first of all, understand. If you'll see, the left of the screen is the map of Mughal Empire when Aurangzeb died. And you see, except the southernmost coast, okay, on Malabar and both sides, okay, everything else was under the Mughal Empire's direct or indirect rule. But by the time you will see 1766, that is Battle of Buxar happened, and then Treaty of Allahabad happened. And in 1766, you will see that the Mughals have been reduced to this section. That's it. This much, only this much. Okay, everything else, some went to Marathas, Britishers were also gaining power, Nizam has got his own independence and everything was happening, and this was only the Mughals. So what happened in this 60 years? That we have to understand. What led to the disintegration from Indian subcontinent becoming this to this? What happened in these 60 years? That's the question. Okay, and that is what we are going to discuss. Okay, so before moving forward, first of all, you need to understand how Mughal Empire ran. For any country, for any administration, you need to understand there are certain basic pillars of any structure, any government. Okay, so in the Mughal Empire, the structure was based on like any other thing. For few of the things you need to understand, there is this administration, there is the military, there is the economy, and then there is a culture. Now, if all these four things are in sync, okay, your administration will work very well, and that is acceptable even now. It was acceptable back then. For example, let me explain this thing. right now you see that which are the countries who are excelling on all the fronts. Okay, so for excelling on all the fronts, what you need to have a very good economy, you need to have a efficient and transparent administration. Using administration and economy, you will then develop an excellent military for your security. And to make sure that everything works fine and there is no further difficulties in long run, you need to have a amalgamative, okay, culture. That is a culture in which everyone can come and assimilate, and there is space for all different kind of people. Okay, so mutual integration की भावना होनी चाहिए. Okay, there is a idea of tolerance. If all these four things are available, your society will develop. Okay, you take the example right now, European Union, which was an outcome of Second World War. After that only they started coming together. By 1952 they started working together. They understood this thing that they have to come together in 1991, and right now you see the combined GDP of European Union is somehow more than United States also. Okay, so what they understood that if they'll come together, they will be happy, they'll work very well. Okay, so their administration, their economy, their military and their culture came together. Now in the Mughal Empire also, back in the day, you will see that when the rulers were like Akbar, okay, or Shah Jahan, okay, administration worked not too, like, it's not like they were uncorruptible or anything like that, but it was efficient. Economy did well. Okay, using administration and economy, military evolved, and culture was at the very foundation. Amalgamative culture, a culture where a sense of tolerance was there. Okay, so based on your merit you were given appointments and not only your religious affiliation. All those things were there. Okay, so Mughal Empire also worked well. When you see what specifically worked for them, you see that their, most of all, like any other administration and culture I just told you, but when it came to economy and military, two things you need to understand. Okay, and what are these two things? Izaradari system and Mansabdari system. Okay, now what is Mansabdari system? Now these Mansabdari and Izaradari will be covered in your medieval section in far more detail. But even before we start these class, these things need to be explained. Otherwise, you will not get a cusp of anything. So, what is Mansabdari system? So, what Mughals did, instead of maintaining a standing huge army, because एक इतनी बड़ी आर्मी मेंटेन करने का खर्चा लगता है ना, इंडिया में भी इतने सारे जीडीपी का कॉस्ट लग जाता है हर साल just to maintain Indian military. So instead of doing that, what the Mughals started doing, they evolved a system called as Mansabdari system. In this system, they appointed one person as a revenue collector of a certain area. Once that person has collected the revenue, he will use a certain portion of that collected revenue to maintain a certain number of cavalrymen and infantrymen, घुड़सवार और पैदल हमलावर. Okay, and the rest of the money he will transfer it to the Mughal exchequer, the royal authority. Okay, so in the Mansabdari system, the person who will be given the responsibility of revenue collection. Okay, revenue collection. Okay, so they were given a piece of land, from there they will collect the revenue. This revenue, a part of this revenue will come into their hand and they will use it to maintain a certain number of cavalrymen plus infantry. Okay, rest will go to the Mughal Toshkhana, treasury. Okay, I might use a bit of these keywords because you have to remember these things in the long run. Okay, so this is the thing. Now, how many cavalrymen and how many infantrymen one person has to, once Mansabdar has to maintain, was decided by their rank. Now their rank were called as their Zat, Z-A-T. Okay, it varied between 10 to 5,000 during the time of Akbar, and later in the time of Aurangzeb it went to 7,500. That means if someone has a rank of 7,500 in the times of Aurangzeb, that means they will have to maintain 7,500 cavalrymen, Ghodasawar. For each Ghodasawar, the rule was that person has to maintain 2 horses. So that the person, that Mansabdar has to maintain 15,000 horses. If he is maintaining 7,500 cavalrymen, he has to maintain 15,000 horses. And if 15,000 horses, there has to be at least 15,000 infantrymen also. So in total, he has to maintain 7,500 cavalrymen, 15,000 horses, and 15,000 infantrymen. And to bear the cost, he will be allotted a piece of land. He will collect the revenue and use it for maintaining this force, and then rest will be transferred to the Mughal exchequer, Mughal Toshkhana. That was the basic idea. Now, what happened over the period? These people, this Mansabdars, since they were running the show on the ground, they were also able to perform a lot many tasks like educating justice. कोई छोटी मोटा issue हो गया तो वो भी resolve कर दिया. Started from there, and then overall they almost got a status of king in their own Mansabdari, and because of this huge number, their Mansabdari were also very big. Although till Aurangzeb was alive, you will see that all these appointments were made on the basis of merit. Okay, all these appointments were made on the basis of merit and not on the basis of your affiliation or your hereditary. Okay, it was all the appointments were made on merit. Okay, so because of that, transparency was maintained. Okay, some issues never came up. Okay, but Aurangzeb was too powerful, so when he gave an order, everyone accepted. Okay, problem came in later on. Okay, in the Mansabdari system, understand, we'll go a bit down in Mansabdari system. When a piece of land was allotted to you, you have to collect the revenue from there. But what amount of revenue will be collected was already decided by the central government, central Mughal regime. And during the time of Akbar, it was done by Dehsala system. What is Dehsala system? So a team of Mughal surveyors will come and will measure the piece of land. They will check for the fertility level and everything, and then they will decide that what kind of crop and what amount of crop will be grown on it, and they will decide it for the next 10 years. Whatever they will mark, you will have to pay accordingly the tax on that piece of land, not more, not less. If there is a drought, if there is a famine, there will be proper ways out. That year tax usually was given away. The farmers were told that that year they don't have to pay any tax, and those services were provided. Okay, so that's how it works. Now, there was another system which was present in the times of Mughals, although no Mughal Subedar and no Mughal Badshah ever emphasized till Aurangzeb was in power to use that method, and that method was Izaradari system. Now, what is Izaradari system? So instead of making this wholesome thing of maintaining cavalry and infantry and this and that, you will just call all the people who were interested in the job of collecting revenue, and you will just tell them that, okay, fine, how much you will, like, if there are 5 people, okay, suppose there are 5 people, I'll explain it in a blank sheet, it will be easier for you. If suppose there are 5 people, okay, Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. C, Mr. D, and Mr. E, okay, and there is one piece of land, okay, X. Now Mr. A says that he will provide 1 lakh rupees, okay. Mr. B says he will provide 1.1 lakh rupees. Like if he'll be given the authority of collecting the revenues, he will be able to collect 1 lakh rupees. Mr. A will say. Mr. B will say that he will collect 1.1 lakh rupee. Okay. Mr. C says I will collect 1.25 lakh. Mr. D says he will only be able to collect 80,000 rupees. So 0.8. Okay. Mr. E sees all these people and says, like, no matter what happens, I have to get this job. So he will say that I will gather 1.3 lakh rupee. So the Mughals will say, okay, fine, since Mr. E is capable of getting the maximum revenue, let's give this Isara, this piece of land was called as Isara. Let's give this Isara to Mr. E. Now, what Mr. E will do? Mr. E will never be able to collect 1.3 lakh rupees because it is impossible to collect that much amount from that piece of land. But although he committed just to get the job, so what will happen now? Two things can happen. First thing, he will not be able to gather that much amount and he will have to pay from his own pocket. That he will never do. Okay. So, first option, pay from own pocket, pay from his pocket. That will never happen. So, that is out. Second thing, he will push the peoples to pay extra money. He will exploit them, he will beat them, he will ransack their house, he will do anything on the ground to get more money from the people. So, exploitation. Okay. So, this was what Izaradari lead to happen, and therefore, since till the time Aurangzeb was alive, this method was never preferred. It was there in the books. It was there in the books that if something happens, if there is no other option, they can use it. But it was never applied till Aurangzeb was in office as the Mughal Badshah. Okay. Now, once you have the basic idea of the taxation regime, that what and how it all happened, let's move forward. And okay, so you got the what Mansabdari system is and what Izaradari system is, which was basically the revenue collection system. And Mansabdari, you see, it is not only a revenue collection system, but it is far beyond it. It is on the cusp of the mixture of maintaining economy and the military. So the Mughal economy and military are interlinked among each other. You got the Mansabdari and Izaradari and both their importance and what it is. It will be very useful in understanding in the long run. So make a note of this, whatever you feel like is important. Okay. Now, so in any country, there are certain things where if that works properly, everything will be fine. What are these? Your military, your economy, your administration, your nobility, and your society. If all these things are kept in check, they are working fine, everything will be fine in your society. So what was happening in 1707 on these fronts? Let me just give you an idea. Now this particular thing is not written in your NCERT, but it is required to have an understanding so that you will be able to get some idea. So Mughal Empire in 1707, the year Aurangzeb passed away. What was happening on these fronts? First of all, I'll give you each of the examples. So what was happening with the Mughal military? Okay. Aurangzeb in 1680, the year Shivaji passed away, the Maratha ruler Chhatrapati Shivaji passed away, Aurangzeb attacked the Deccan region, Maratha region. From there onwards, he maintained the Mughal army in the Deccan. Now, doing this meant that it was a burden on the Mughal exchequer. Doing this meant it was a burden on the Mughal military. Mughal military was stationed in the Deccan region for more than 25 years continuously. So, the issues within Mughal military, surely there were a lot of issues. Okay, overstretched resources. Okay, that was the basic, if you want to explain it in a single word. Okay, for the military, they were overstretched resources. This one things also works for the economy. It was also overstretched. Okay, but economy along with that was just happening in military thing on the top side. Another thing, Mughals always aligned with the Rajputs from the times of Akbar, and therefore Rajputs played a very important role in the Mughal armed forces. So Rajputs, and because of the Mughal army, wider idea of Mughal army also included the Rajputs regiments or Rajput cavalry forces. So it was a very strong army. But once the Rajputs left because of the orthodox behavior of Aurangzeb or not giving too much importance to the Rajputs, you will see that Mughal army also or military also declined. So one was the overstretched resources in Deccan. Okay, and these points will be written in the next slide, don't worry. Okay, then the reduced capability because of absence of Rajputs. Fine. So these were the two major problems with the Mughal military in the first decade of the 18th century, that is 1701 to 1710. What was the problem with the economy? Again, the same thing. Overstretched military in the Deccan, overstretched economy in the Deccan. Because even to maintain the extended armed forces, you need to spend money. And that money, where is coming from? It is coming from the other areas of the Mughal Empire. So instead of spending those money for the good and well-being of the people of the main areas, the Gangetic Plain of the Mughal Empire, it was being spent on the armed forces to be stationed in Deccan. Okay, so again, you can also say this point also goes to this overstretched resources in Deccan, economy-wise. Beyond this, economy-wise, there was another issue. For the first time, you will understand that the total population of Mughal Empire was getting more than 15 crore. 15 crore at that time. Because of this, what was happening is the agricultural surplus, which was major source of revenue, was no more there. People were only growing enough to be able to sustain themselves. So the profit margin, the agricultural surplus, which effectively was taken over by the Mughal Empire as the revenue, was not coming. So there was also a decline in the overall revenue collection. Okay, so decline in revenue collection. Okay, don't worry, these points will be separated, tabulated on the screen. In few minutes I will show you. I'm just trying to explain you in the broader idea. Then let's talk about the issue within the administration. So what was the issue within the administration? Okay, for this we need to open a new slide. So understand Mughal administration. Okay, now this whole Mughal nobility consisted not only of Hindustani people. There were people from various different parts who were part of Mughal nobility. And who are these people? They were Turkish. So they were back then called as Turani. Okay, Turkish people of Turkish origin. There was Iranis of the Persian origin. There were Afghani of the Afghan origin. There were Uzbeki of the Uzbek origin. There were Kazaki of the Kazakh origin. And there were then the Hindustani, who were the native Muslims who were part of the Mughal nobility. So कितने हो गए? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, 6 different type of people, and even let us expect that all of them were Muslims. Still, they were from different ethnicity, and this created a huge difference because each of them were fighting among themselves for the leadership position. And I have just told you, and I have explained in the starting of the lecture also, that once such an army was moved to Deccan to handle Maratha Empire, the crisis over there, even Aurangzeb moved to Aurangabad. And once he stationed himself in Aurangabad, there was a crisis in Delhi because all these factions started fighting among each other. So, crisis in Delhi and Agra, because these were the two power centers of the Mughal Empire. So there was a crisis in this area. Okay. Now, you got it? What was the problem in administration? what was now the problem with the within the nobility? In a way, I just explained you. Okay. Okay. So administration and nobility, you can join these two things, because what was happening was, I was just explaining you this. Okay. So I just explained you the problem. Now all these people started getting involved in corruption to get into the important position, and therefore corruption increases, transparency reduces. Effectively, the people on the ground were the worst servers. They were finding themselves in the worst situation. Okay, so these two sections are covered. Now what was happening, issues within the society at this time? So again, let's issues in society. And okay, so we are talking about 1700 plus, that is first decade of 18th century. Now 1670 onwards, Aurangzeb had reimposed jizya. Now reimposition of jizya, which was a tax on the non-Muslims, okay, and reimposition of Teerth Yatra Mahsool, that was the tax on those people who are basically idol worshipper, Buddha puja jo karte hain, basically sare Hindu. Okay, so there was a tax on that too. So if you're going to a temple, you have to pay a tax. If you are just for being a non-Muslim, you have to pay a tax. So the majority population of the Indian subcontinent, majority population was at loggerhead. Okay, with administration or with Mughal administration. Okay, so that was happening in the society, and effectively the outcome of the height, that toll in the military, that is also going to impact the society. The increase in the worsening situation of the economy, that is also going to impact the society. Okay, because society is the very foundation of everything. So all these things are the all upper portion, all the points I have already told you. Whether a military issue or economy issue, administration, nobility, corruption in the administration, everything will ultimately impact the society. And when this will happen, people in the society will start rebelling. Okay, and many rebellions happened. We'll be talking about the Satnami rebellion and other things which happened even against the Mughal Empire. So that is the situation which was what was going on in the very first decade of the 18th century. I'm talking about the very decade in which Aurangzeb passed away. That was the situation of Indian subcontinent. And we will also talk about immediately after this, there was a succession battle among the Mughals, which further degraded the situation. Because then this military, which is also already finding itself in a difficult position, was further divided into the three factions of the Mughal princes and fought among themselves itself. अब वैसे ही आपकी पावर कम हो रखी है, अब आप तीन पार्ट में बट के आपस में ही लड़ लोगे तो क्या हालत होगी. And that we have to look forward. But for the meantime, first of all, have a basic understanding that whenever you are trying to judge situation of a particular society, any country, any government, these are the factors: your military, your economy, your administration, your nobility, and your society. In present day and time, 21st century, obviously there is no outrightly mentioned nobility, but basically the people who are major stakeholders, the people who are in government, the people who are the CEOs and CFOs of multinational companies, transnational companies, those are part of the nobility. Okay, so that's how you compare. Okay, so these are the basic features. Now let's come forward, and what I just explained you, all those things in a point is further mentioned here in much more detail. Let's say if someone asks you that what was the basic administrative and economic situation of the Mughal Empire in the starting of the 18th century. So these are the points. Now what points I have just explained you is basically these points. Okay, what points I have just explained you are these points only, and let me go through it one by one again, because this is how it has been mentioned in NCERT. Now I had to come to these points, and that's why I explained you all those things. Okay, NCERT starts from here. What is written on this slide is basically what NCERT has directly mentioned. Now It is but understood की बात है कि भाई if you are starting reading this whole history for the first time, if I'll give you all these pointers directly, it will be a bit difficult for you to understand, and that's why the whole explaining part was done. So here, administrative and economic situation of the empire. What was the economic situation? Everything, let me take one by one. So continuous, the resources of the Mughal empire were overstretched, whether it was military resources or economic resources, okay, because of their continuous struggle in the Deccan with the Maratha empire. Okay, even though Mughals were winning, against the Marathas, but what we call it death by the 1,000 cuts. Marathas were able to provide these 1,000 cuts, which ultimately caused the demise of the Mughal empire. Now, beyond this, you see, I've told you that from the time of Akbar, the Mughal-Rajput relations were at its worst in 2 centuries in the time of Aurangzeb, because Aurangzeb was not interested in giving much importance to many of the Rajput rulers. Okay, now some scholars have a different opinion. Some scholars says that this was because of his religious beliefs. On a separate note, many scholars says, don't know, it's not the case. There were rulers like Raja of Amber, okay, Jai Singh, who played a very important role in the court of Aurangzeb till very last days. So there are some issues, but we don't have to go into those. All you can remember is, on a bigger level, the major support of Rajput, which was there with Mughals till Shah Jahan was in power, was gone with Aurangzeb coming in power. Okay. Now, after this, when we come about religious issues, we can say that the Mughal central authority was moving more and more towards the Orthodox Islam. Jizya and Teerth Yatra Mahsul was already imposed on majority subjects in 1670s itself. Achha. Let me explain this thing to you guys a bit more, okay? Because what happens is, you don't have the understanding of this, or फिर वो long term में difficult होता है. So what Aurangzeb was doing, why Aurangzeb was doing it? Now understand this thing, when you becomes a ruler, religion and all these things doesn't make a very important part of your life, because basically these things are just mostly used as a tool to maintain a stable administrative unit. So why he was doing also that? Was he really an Orthodox Muslim who was going up to any extent to implement the ideas of Islam? There are scholarly debate about that, so we will not be going into that. What I will tell you is this: if you start comparing, you will start to look into it that with the increasing demand of monetary liquid support, you will see that he will start getting more and more strict towards getting more taxation. That is, as and when the requirement of Mughal economy was not being fulfilled by the already present revenue or taxation measures, then he went to the extent of implementing Jizya and Teerth Yatra Mahsul. So, was he someone who just wanted to exploit the people from other religion? No. But when it came to exploiting the people, the first one who should be taken for this purpose were the one from different religion. So was there a difference? Yes, there was a difference. Was the difference to such an extent that should be only be discussed about Aurangzeb? No, that shouldn't be the case. Okay, so that you have to be very clear about. Now, I've just told you that one of the major reason for the corruption or increase in the increasing problems of the administration was the Badshah's continuous absence. And why he was absent? Because he was stationed in Aurangabad for so long. Okay, from Agra and Delhi, it made the central nobility selfish and corrupt. I've already mentioned about the economic point about the agriculture was no more profitable and peasants' revolt were quite common. I gave you example of the Satnami revolt, the Jat and the Sikh uprising, which was usually seen in the times of Aurangzeb, and later after the demise of Aurangzeb, you see this big Sikh uprising in 1710 onwards, which was then crushed in 1715. That was also an outcome in a way of the economic issues, because more than 85% of the Sikh people of Sikh community were from the agricultural background. So their frustration, effectively, you fight against your government when your basic requirements are not fulfilled. Then only you move and start fighting against the government. Okay, so those things you can connect over there. Okay, the Mughal War of Succession. This is the final nail in the coffin, because you see that after 1707, the three sons of Aurangzeb fought among themselves. Okay, and even though Bahadur Shah, Prince Muazzam, took the title of Bahadur Shah and declared himself the emperor in 1707, he was finally able to win over his brother only in 1709, and it costed him a lot of money. So much so that when Aurangzeb passed away, uh, his overall money in Mughal treasury was somewhere around 100 crore rupees. When Bahadur Shah Zafar finally came to Delhi in 1709, the money was only about 13 crore rupees. And when he passed away in 1712, there was less than 1 crore rupees. He lost all the money fighting among themselves and doing this and that. So you need to understand that the worst thing which happened with the finances of the Mughal Empire was not any of these, but was actually the succession war between the three princes of the Mughal Empire, which lasted between 1707 and 1700. Okay. Now, many of the students, many of the scholars, or many of the people always think that it was the foreign invasions which took away all the money from India, and which created such a situation that we were economically poor and infrastructurally unable to do anything. Now, but one need to understand this, the reason why even Nadir Shah was in a condition to think that let's attack India, let's attack Delhi. Why Ahmad Shah Abdali thought about we can attack Delhi? This was because already the ruler sitting in Delhi was incapable. Okay, so the first serious foreign threat came in 1730s only from Persia, and not before that. So the reason, the problem, the administrative problem, the economic problem of Mughal Empire was their own doing and should not be blamed on the foreign invasions which came by 1730s, by which time Mughal Empire had already started degrading. Okay, it was not that Mughal Empire degraded after Nadir Shah's invasion or Ahmad Shah Abdali's invasion. Mughal Empire already had declined when Ahmad Shah Abdali came. Okay, so these are some of the pointers I have explained, and I have given you in a single board also, so you will have a bit better understanding. Okay, let's move forward. And before going into each of the ruler, we need to understand what I was telling you about the early great Mughals and then later Mughals. What is all that? To understand this thing, that power came to India and established himself in Delhi after first battle of Panipat in 1526. Okay, and he ruled till 1539, when he passed away at the age of 40, and his son Humayun came to power. Humayun ruled for some time, then he lost a battle against Shah Suri in 1538. Okay, he escaped, he asked for help from his brother Kamran, but he didn't supported him, and then he escaped to Amarkot, where Akbar was born in hiding. Then he went to Iran, and I'm skipping this thing with taking very fast because this is medieval history portion. I won't be covering it here, but just to give you a basic idea of what I'm going to explain, it is needed. So he went to Iran, to the ruler of Persia, Shah Tahmasp. Over there, Shah Tahmasp said that I will help you if you convert to Shiaism. So what he did, he immediately converted to Shiaism. Okay, he from Sunni Islam he became a practicer of a Shia Islam, and with the help of Shah Tahmasp he came back. First he won against his own brother Kamran, and then he fought and won again the Lodi dynasty. But in 1555 he passed away in Delhi. Okay, if you are in Delhi, if you get some time, go to Purana Killa. There is still the building, Sher Manzil it is called, which was used as a library by Humayun, from which first floor he fell down from the stairs and died. Okay, when he passed away, His son was 13-year-old, and what happened? Uh, Looking at this opportunity, the other people who were working for the whatever was left of the Lodi Empire, they tried to fight. And this is where the second battle of Panipat took place in 1556. Okay, in the name of Jalaluddin Muhammad, that was the name of Akbar. Okay, in the name of Jalaluddin Muhammad, his what you call as the Wakil of the Mughal Empire, Baram Khan, fought the second battle. They fought it against Hemu, Raja Hemu, and after they won it, they reclaimed the authority over Delhi and Agra in the name of Jalaluddin Muhammad. Later on, Jalaluddin Muhammad, in this period from 1556 to 1562, Jalaluddin Muhammad was very young, and therefore Baram Khan ran the show as the king regent. In 1562, when Jalaluddin was around 20 years of age, he decided to take things in his own hand. He took the title of Akbar and he started ruling from Agra. Cool. So that's where the whole thing starts. Now, I'll give you a basic timeline. This is, again, if you don't want, you don't have to mention it. I am just mentioning it so you have some idea what I'm talking about. Okay. So Akbar ruled between 1556 and 1605, and he was succeeded by his son Jahangir. Is basically the Prince Salim, by Shahzada Salim, Mughal Azam wala. Okay, he took the title of Jahangir. Okay, he ruled from 1605 till 1627, and then he was succeeded by his son Shah Jahan, and Shah Jahan ruled from 1628 till 1658, when Aurangzeb arrested him, killed his elder brother Dara Shikoh, and his other two brothers. One was also killed, and another actually left for Burma, and he came to power in 1658. 59 also some people say, because the battle was going on, and he ruled till 1707. Okay, so this is the basic timeline which you should know. Okay, so these are four, and beyond this, Babur, I told you, he ruled for 50. 1526 to 1529, somewhere it's written, sometimes it's written it's 30, and then you write Humayun, who ruled in two parts between 1530 and 38, and then 1555. Okay, later on. So these are the Mughal rulers. Okay, in between there was a Sur dynasty. Okay, and Sur dynasty also played a very important role, but that's for the Mughal, that's for the medieval history section, not here. So this is done. Okay, once you have the basic idea of this place, now let's come to this image. Okay, now if you'll see, those rulers, those 6 rulers from Babur to Aurangzeb are called as Great Mughals. Okay, they were the one who commanded the authority. After him, after Aurangzeb, came the list of later Mughals. These were not so powerful rulers who somehow managed to maintain themselves in Delhi. That's it. Okay, so Aurangzeb passed away. The power was taken over by Bahadur Shah first. It was moved to Jahandar Shah, then went to Farrukhsiyar, then came Muhammad Shah Rangila, then came Ahmad Shah Bahadur, who ruled for 6 more years. Then Alamgir ruled, second rule for, because Alamgir first was Aurangzeb only, so Alamgir second ruled for 5 years, and Shah Alam second ruled between 1760 and 1806. There have been parts between 5 years, 6 years, for which Shah Alam was moved to Allahabad and was brought back, but those details we'll be discussing later on. Then power was taken over by Akbar Shah II, and then Bahadur Shah II ruled for 20 years between 1837 and 1857, and then the famous Sepoy Mutiny took place of 1857 and the Mughal Empire ended. Okay, so first you understand the hierarchy, the succession line, and then we will move to what was happening beyond that. Okay, cool. Sure. So make a note of this, pause your screen, make a note of this, and then we'll move forward. Okay. Pause your screen and make a note. Okay, we'll start with Bahadur Shah. Okay. Pause your screen and make a note of this. As I was telling you that we will start with Bahadur Shah. Okay. So Bahadur Shah first was the son of Aurangzeb. I told you that he was Prince Muazzam who took the title of Bahadur Shah after coming to power. Great. What happened? Now, we were not going to talk much in detail about what he did in his personal life, what was his attributes and all. No, not required for this examination. All you need to know is when he came to power, he was already 65 years old. Look, Aurangzeb passed away at the youthful age of 90. So if you are 90, obviously your son will be 65. Okay. So he was not that of a degenerate. Like we always call that Farooq Shiar was a degenerate. Ahmad Shah, Muhammad Shah Rangila was a degenerate. He was not a degenerate. He knew how to fight, how to maintain his authority. The problem with him was he was already very old. He was not in that age group when he can take a new initiative. Okay. So, and another portion was he already fought this succession battle with his brother, which further reduced his economic capabilities. So these were already two problems he had. What policy initiatives he took, that we have to look into. So first of all, after coming into power, what he did is he decided, let's take over some of the regions in Rajputana, what now we call as Rajasthan. Okay, so king of Amber, basically Jaipur area, and king of Jodhpur, both he wanted their areas to be taken over by the Mughal. But when the battle started, he understood very well that it won't be possible. So he took a step back and started maintaining neutrality with the rulers in the Rajputana. Okay, so after Aurangzeb, for the first time, the neutrality with the Rajputs were established by him. Okay, after Aurangzeb, neutrality with the Rajputs. So after failed attempt to take over Rajputana, he reached an understanding with the Amber and Marwar, that is Jodhpur. Okay, that is on the western front. What he did for the Deccan? So Aurangzeb was already continuously fighting with the Marathas. We will be talking about Marathas separately also, but understand a bit here that when Aurangzeb in 1680, Aurangzeb had captured Shivaji's son Sambhaji and hanged him. At that time, Aurangzeb had also captured Sambhaji's son Sahu and Sahu's mother, and they were brought to Delhi. Okay, they were jailed in Delhi. So from 1680 till 1707, they were in Mughal prison. So now Bahadur Shah first thought of a very excellent idea. He thought, like, look, this guy Sahu is in our jail, is no use to us. But if we let him go back, so since he is not there in the Maratha Empire from last 27 years, there have already arisen a new ruler. Because when Sambhaji was killed, okay, his brother or Shivaji's another son from his second wife was made the ruler. So now the succession line is coming from that family. So Bahadur Shah thought that if I'll just release Sahu and let him go back to Maratha kingdom, Maratha Swaraj they used to call it, his very presence, because he will go back and he will claim his authority. He will say that I should be the king because I am the son of erstwhile ruler, and this will create two factions in the Maratha Empire, and there will be a civil war situation in the Maratha Empire, and that will be useful to us, because if the Marathas will start fighting between themselves, they will not fight to us. And this is what happened. So he released Sahu from Mughal confinement. This caused a succession crisis among the Marathas. All that succession crisis with Tarabai, what Tarabai's stance was, what Sahu stated, how it was resolved later on, those things will be done in when we'll be talking about the Maratha Empire, not here. Okay, that is a part of medieval history. Okay, some of the sections are in medieval history and some which are here will be covered in the chapter number 4. Okay. Then what else he did? While when it came to Rajputs and when it came to Marathas, he used his diplomacy. But when it came to Sikh community, he was adamant that violence should be answered with violence, and he used extreme force. And the reason for this is very important. Because what happened while he was fighting with his own brother in Hyderabad, a nearby area in deep south, just next to Delhi, where right now in Haryana, Yamunanagar district is there. Over there was a province of Mughal Empire called as Sirhind. And what happened is the Sikh community under the leadership of Baba Banda Singh Bahadur, they killed the governor of Sirhind, and they established their own rule over there, and they called it the Sikh Empire. They started minting their coins and started giving the farmans in the authority of the Guru Granth Sahib. And they also evolved their own revenue collection system, minted coins, I just told you, and created their own capital in Sirhind, and they called it Lohgarh. Now, once they did so much and so close to Delhi, when he came back in 1709 back to Delhi, the first thing was that, look, I can't really have this new kingdom next to my own capital city. So he ordered not only he ordered the Mughal army to go and quash the Sikh resistance, but he himself led, the king himself, the 66, 67-year-old king himself led the army when it went to quash the Sikh empire in 1710. So when the Sikh tried to carve out a Sikh state at Lohgarh under the Baba Banda Bahadur, he led the Mughal army himself to fight them. Baba Banda Singh Bahadur went into hiding in 1710, and although he passed away in 1712, the Mughal army continuously searched for him, and later on in 1715 he was arrested, and then in 1715 he was arrested. In 1716 he was killed in front of the Red Fort in Delhi. So that happened. Okay, and that later on will happen during the reign of Farrukh Shiar. Okay, so understand this much, that one of his policy initiative. When it came to economic situation, I just told you that royal treasury of 13 crore was almost exhausted by 1712. So this point already I have explained that already the economic situation was bad. Him fighting for 2 years with his own brothers further took away all the finances, and then his whole agenda of fighting with the Sikh reduced his overall exchequer to less than 1 crore rupees when he passed away in 1700. His passing away means there was again succession battle, and this succession battle is again very interesting. Now, this is again not there in NCERT, but just for understanding, I am telling you, like, understand. Choose the white color. Aurangzeb's son, or we should directly write it like this. Okay, Aurangzeb's one lineage, okay, went to Bahadur Shah first. Okay. Now, Bahadur Shah's son was Azimush Shan, and Azimush Shan's son was Farrukh Shiar. This is just for your understanding. You don't have to read these things in your NCERT, it's not there. Okay. On the other side, Aurangzeb's another son was from other lineage, not only his son, came Jahandar Shah. Okay. So Aurangzeb passed away. Okay, when Aurangzeb passed away, okay, Aurangzeb passed away, the power went to Bahadur Shah. When Bahadur Shah passed away, there was a struggle between Jahandar Shah and Azim Shah. Azim Shah was killed again, and Jahandar Shah was declared the Mughal ruler. Okay, Jahandar Shah was declared the Mughal ruler in 1712. But at the same time, Azim Shah's son Farrukh Shiar also declared himself the Mughal ruler, although he was not in Delhi. And that's why I'm telling you, this is not, I'm not going to tell you all the time the son and daughters of all the king, but this is important because Farrukh Shiar declared himself to be the ruler and Jahandar Shah himself considered himself to be the ruler. Now, for 1 year between 1712 and 1713, Jahandar Shah ruled through his own prime minister, whose name was Zulfikar Khan. So Jahandar Shah was not a very astute man, but his prime minister was Zulfikar Khan and he maintained him in authority. On the other hand, Farrukh Shiar was supported by Sayyid brothers. Okay, Sayyid brothers, about whom we'll be discussing in 2 minutes. So just understand this thing, okay, that how this struggle was established. Now, Farrukh Shiar, let me tell you, you might have heard about the place in Uttar Pradesh, UP right now, Farrukhabad. That Farrukhabad is actually named after Farrukh Shiar, because when Jahandar Shah established himself in Delhi, Farrukh Shiar established himself in that place, which was later on called as Farrukhabad. Okay, and he also had the support of the Rohilla Afghans in those times. So let's come to now. If you have this basic understanding, this is not in your NCERT, but this is required for your understanding. Okay, so once that is done, then we will come to discussion, and let me tell you, the Jahandar Shah came into power in 1712 and 13, and the real power on the ground was not Jahandar Shah, but his prime minister, his Wazir Zulfikar Khan. Okay, Wazir, however you want, you can write. Okay, whether you want to write to Vizer or Wizer, it's on you. Okay, no issues. Okay, Zulfikar Khan. Okay, so all the misdoing of Jahandar Shah was not his own, it was Zulfikar Khan's. Okay, now let's come to this and let's see what policy initiatives he took. So first of all, he resolved the issue with the Rajputs. Okay, Jai Singh of Amber was made governor of Malwa and Ajit Singh of Marwar was made governor of Gujarat. So on one side, Aurangzeb was not giving them any importance. You see, the Mughal power is decreasing. Aurangzeb was not giving Rajputs any importance. Rajputs were here. The Mughal power decreased. Bahadur Shah Zafar, his power reduced. So he gave some importance. He maintained neutrality with the Rajputs. Now it further reduced. Jahandar Shah, who is already facing problem with Farrukh Shiar, so he needed more allies. So what he does, now he gave more importance to Rajputs. The Rajputs who were not given importance to ruler back were given importance because Jahandar Shah needed more allies. So Rajput from Amber, Jai Singh was made governor of Malwa and Ajit Singh of Marwar was made governor of Gujarat, which was a very important province because most of the trade was taking place from Surat. So whoever had Gujarat had control on a lot of things, okay, economy wise. Got it? Now, after that, what he did? Zulfikar Khan also thought that, look, we have consistent threat from Farrukh Shiar because Farrukh Shiar is sitting right there in Farrukhabad. So how to handle that threat? So he allied with the Marathas also. So he allowed for some time, he allied with the settlements with the Marathas also. Okay. And I just told you that he gave some relaxation to Marathas. He reduced the army from there. So the Marathas were on the good terms with them, and Marathas knew that if Farrukh Shiar will come to power, the life will be difficult for them. Okay. Now, after this, I have told you already that Izaradari system was already there in Mughal books, but Mughals never used it because they knew that using that system will mean exploitation of people on the ground, and that will lead to rebellion in long run. Okay. But at this moment, I have already told you again that Bahadur Shah has already emptied all the coffers. There was no money in Mughal Toshkhana. So at any cost, they needed money. So what will happen now? The Prime Minister of Jahandar Shah will implement that Izaradari system. That Izaradari system, which I have explained you, was considered not implementable, should not be applied, was now applied. Why? Because they were out of money. And what will say that exploit people or let your empire degrade. So you will say, "Acha, ab kar lo exploit." So under these different difficult situations, you will see that Izaradari system, in which the whole bidding system was used for collection of revenue, was used for the first time in the Mughal hierarchy, Mughal times. Okay, later Mughals during the reign of Jahandar Shah. Now in the prelims examination, the questions will be very simple. The prelims examination, this much explanation will not be given. Question will be directly asked that Ijaradari will be applied for the first time during whose reign, and there will be 4. Okay, the question in the prelims examination will be very simple. The question will be like this. Understand this thing. The question will be very simple. It will be just framed like this, that Izaradari system was first applied during whose reign, and there will be 4 options. There will be Farrukh Shiar, there will be Muhammad Shah Rangila, there will be Ahmad Shah Bahadur, and there will be Jahandar Shah. And you will be always like, सर इतना मगअप करना है कैसे होगा, हम कैसे याद करें इतने सारे नाम. Okay, so the trick is that don't try to mug up the names, try to mug up the story. Okay, and the names will come out automatically, and the correct answer is 5 points के लिए. Okay, Jahandar Shah. Cool, understood, easy. Okay, so what he did, Jahandar Shah, under his reign, Ijaradari system was applied. Okay, and but what happened? You will see that over the period, Farrukh Shiar, with the help of Sayyid brothers, was able to win over Zulfikar Khan, and then once Zulfikar Khan was sidelined, Jahandar Shah was also arrested and was killed by Sayyid brothers, and Farrukh Shiar was now made the new ruler of Mughal Empire. Okay, Farrukh Shiar was now made the new ruler of Mughal Empire. So it is 1713. Okay, Jahandar Shah is killed and Farrukh Shiar came to power. But again, he was also not the effective ruler. He was also the ruler only in name. The effective ruler were the Sayyid brothers, who were Abdullah Khan and Hussain Ali Khan Barha. Now understand this thing. These are the names which are written in NCERT. If you refer to any of other material, you will see that there were 2 names, Hassan Ali Khan and Hussain Ali Khan. These were the name of Sayyid brothers. But in NCERTs, the 2 names are given, Abdullah Khan and Hussain Ali Khan Barha. And therefore, this is the name you should remember if it comes to remembering. Otherwise, just remember the name Sayyid Ali Khan and it will work. Okay. Sayyid brothers, okay, and it will work. Now with Farooq Shiar again, what were the policies? So understand this thing. Jizya was abolished by Farooq at the times of Farooq Shiar. Now why? Again there is story. There I'm not going to make you remember anything out of context. There is a reason for everything, and you will get to know the reason. Okay. So over here you will see that these Sayyid brothers were the Hindustanis. I told you that in the Mughal court, there were Turani, Hindustani, Uzbeki, Kazaki, Afghani, Irani, all different kinds of Muslims. Okay. In that among them, Sayyid brothers were from the Hindustani faction. Now, since they were Hindustani, they knew the cultural milieu on the ground in Hindustan. They were not coming from some separate land and they didn't had any clue what happens on the ground. They actually knew what happens in the Indian land, and they knew this well, that by implementing Jizya and Tirth Yatra Mahsul again, Aurangzeb has created friction among the majority community, that is the non-Muslim population. And so they understood that the very foundation of everything is this cultural milieu, this cultural understanding, this cultural tolerance. So what they did now, they immediately after Abdullah Khan became the Prime Minister and his brother Hussain Ali Khan became the Finance Minister, but what they did, they immediately, following the idea of religious tolerance, they immediately abolished the Jizya and also reduced the number of places where Tirth Yatra Mahsul or pilgrimage tax was applied. Okay, so that's why they did so. Now I hope, just like Isara system, this will also, you will be able to remember that under whose reign the Jizya was again removed. The first time it was removed by Akbar, then second time it was removed in the reign of Farooq Shiar, but effectively who was responsible? The Sayyid brothers. Now once you are done with that, then the second important thing they did was now at this time they again knew that Farooq Shiar was also not very powerful and he also needed allies. So just like in 1712-13, between that period, Zulfikar Khan had developed some understanding with Marathas. They further elaborated that understanding with the Maratha, and this time the Maratha Peshwa was Balaji Vishwanath. And the Sayyid brothers landed up into an understanding with Balaji Vishwanath, and this understanding was that Marathas were allowed to collect tax from 6 Mughal provinces. In return, they assured they will provide 15,000 mounted soldiers for the Mughal Empire. Means Marathas who used to collect Chayat and Sabdosmukhi. Those who don't know, don't worry. These are kind of taxes which Marathas used to take from the neighboring provinces, not outside the Maratha Empire. Okay, kind of a हफ्ता समझ लीजिए, बाकी मैं डिटेल मराठा एम्पायर के समय समझा दूंगा. Okay, so Marathas were allowed to take Chauth and Sadeshmukhi from the Deccan, the Mughal provinces in Deccan, and in return Marathas assured Mughal Empire that they will provide them 15,000 cavalrymen. Okay, whenever some difficulty comes in, whenever Farooq Shiar will find himself in a difficult situation, they will come to help Farooq Shiar. But this is something which was not of the liking of Farooq Shiar himself. Farooq Shiar didn't wanted this to happen. Farooq Shiar was of the opinion कि ये नहीं कराना मुझे. I don't want to let my place. So even there was a friction between Sayyid brothers and Farooq Shiar. And in this time, Farooq Shiar moved towards the Irani lobby. Okay. At this time, Farooq Shiar moved towards the Irani lobby. Okay. And you will see that Farooq Shiar will come to in close contact with whom? Nizamul Mulk Ashraf Jahan Chinkulich Khan, who will later on become the Subedar of Deccan and then the ruler of Hyderabad. So now with the help of Irani lobby of the Mughal court and Farrukh Shiar will come together. Okay, but Sayyid brothers will get to know about this. When Sayyid brothers will get to know about this, what they will do? They will kill Farrukh Shiar. They killed Farrukh Shiar and they appointed another family member, Muhammad Shah, who was called as Muhammad Shah Rangila. Now, some scholars say that his name, he used the pen name Rangila while writing poetry, and some people say that because of his behavior, his misadventures in life, he was called as Rangila. But whatsoever be the reason, that won't be asked in the examination, so don't worry about them. But what happened is Farrukh Shiar was killed by Sayyid brothers only, and then Muhammad Shah Rangila was appointed as the puppet monarch, and Farrukh and Sayyid brothers kept the power in their own hand. Okay, this is done. Anti-Sayyid brothers lobby strengthened, led by Nizamul Mulk. Ultimately, okay, fine. One more thing one is required, that while Farrukh Shiar was in power, he did one more interesting thing. And to understand this interesting thing, I'll open a new slide and we will cover this later. Look, when the East India Company started trading in 1651, okay, in 1651, the brother of Aurangzeb and the then governor of Bengal, okay, when Shah Jahan was the ruler, 1651, okay, the brother of Aurangzeb, Shah Suja, okay, Shah Suja gave East India Company permission to trade throughout Bengal with a single annual payment of 3,000 rupees. Okay, why it was done so? Again, samajh lo thoda sa. It was done so because of a single sole reason, and that reason was Shah Suja understood that look, what is going to happen is it is impossible to keep a track of all the trade company officials do, because half of the trade happens in barter system. Okay, सिल्क लेके आ रहे हैं, सॉल्ट पेटर लेके जा रहे हैं, ठीक है, चूना लेके आ रहे हैं, सिल्क लेके जा रहे हैं. It is impossible to keep a track. So it was decided in 1651, okay, 1651, that annual payment of 3,000 rupees. That's it. Okay, but 3,000 rupees in 1651 was a very big amount. Now in 1713, the company officials, East India Company officials, now approached Farrukh Shiar to get a better term or renew this deal, because they were facing some problems from the new governor in Bengal, who was Murshid Quli Khan, who was a very great administrator, and he was looking to somehow get more revenue generated from East India Company. Okay, so they came to Farrukh Shiar and they had reached some understanding, and what this understanding was, we will talk in lecture number 2, not here. Okay, but they reached some understanding, and in 1717 you will see that Farrukh Shiar gave a farman in favor of British East India Company, and it was the terms of these farman will be so much in favor of British East India Company that it was famously called as the Golden Farman. Golden Farman of Farrukh Shiar, which is called as Magna Carta. Magna Carta for company. Okay, why Magna Carta? Because Magna Carta is the first principle in the 1300s through which the people got some rights from King John in Britain and England back then. So similar role it plays when it comes to East India Company. What were the terms here? The terms here were, I'll just explain it in 2 lines, that the company was still allowed to continue the trade, annual trade throughout Bengal with the same payment of 3,000 rupees. Now just imagine if your grandfather has rented out a house of yours for 3,000 rupees in 1951, and in 2017 your parents are saying that theek hai, koi baat nahi, let the tenants live there with that amount only. Will it be acceptable to you? No. but that was done by Farrukh Shah. Farrukh Shah also permitted the company to mint coins in Bombay for the same reason. Half of the trade is in barter system, so how we will calculate, and half of the time Mughal coins are not valid in many of the regions in deep south, so okay, fine, you print your currency. But again, the point here is this created difficulty, friction between Farrukh Shah and the Nawab of Bengal, and this led to, because Farrukh Shah also needed more allies सबको चाहिए, so Farrukh Shah, what he did, so that the relationship with Nawab of Bengal should not be jeopardized, because Bengal at that time was the highest tax paying state, Farrukh Shah gave the hereditary subedari to Murshid Quli Khan, who then evolved his own dynasty, Nasiri dynasty in Bengal. Okay, but about that we will talk about in the lecture number 4. Okay, because that's the issue of Bengal. But here we are focusing on the Mughal Empire. So let's discuss about this. That one more thing, that the famous Golden Farman was given in favor of East India Company, and just explained you what were the important terms of this Farman. Okay, the ultimately with the now. Very soon, Muhammad Shah, the new ruler, Muhammad Shah Rangila, also realized that look, the Sayyid brothers are not going to help me in long run. So Muhammad Shah Rangila now again he allied with the same person, Chin Kulich Khan, who was from the Irani side, and this time Sayyid brothers were killed, and Muhammad Shah Rangila appointed this Chin Kulich Khan as the Nizam-e-Mulk, means the new prime minister in 1720. And before this, when Sayyid brothers were the prime minister, they made this Chin Kulich Khan the Nawab, the Subedar in Deccan, to make sure that he doesn't comes back to Delhi. But now he is the Wazir, he is the prime minister. But very soon he realized that this is not the place to work, because he understood that look, Muhammad Shah Rangila is a madman. Working from him is not going to serve me anyway, and just like Zulfikar Khan was killed, just like Sayyid brothers were killed, someone else will kill me very soon. So he himself packed his bags and went to Hyderabad in 1724. He himself packed his bags and went to Hyderabad. So Muhammad Shah Rangila, when we are reading about him, he lasted in power for very long, but all the tricks and twists he did. He too was incapable ruler, but he was managed to stay in power by aligning with capable noblemen who in return for supporting took autonomy for their region. And this is the time, the period between 1720s and 1748, when he was the ruler. You will see that this was the period when all the difficulties, all the disintegration actually started happening on the ground. Okay, actually started happening on the ground. So let me finish off this section and then we will end the session here, and the next session we'll start with the what is happening with the Persia and Afghanistan. Okay, so what happened with Muhammad Shah Rangila? Let me explain him some part here. So he, for already the hereditary subedari which was given by Farrukh Shah to Murshid Quli Khan was effectively implemented by him when he came to power, and after that he appointed Sadat Khan as the subedar of Awadh. Okay, because Sadat Khan was also very efficient official. He was also from the Irani side, and therefore you will see that look, I just told you na, if you go to Lucknow even now, you will see a Shia influence. If you go to Hyderabad, you will see a Shia influence on the Islamic culture also. Why it is so? Because Muhammad Shah Rangila aligned with the Irani nobility and started appointing Irani subedars in all the important provinces, and those subedars later on evolved themselves into an autonomous state, and so their religion became the state religion. That happened in Hyderabad, that happened in Lucknow also, Awadh. Okay, so after this, Awadh was under Sadat Khan and Hyderabad under Nizam-ul-Mulk, evolved as regional autonomous region. He was also the ruler who gave the Carnatic its autonomy in 1732. So you see that why he is doing so, because he knows that he is not a very effective ruler. Suppose if he says that Subedar should be kicked out, and that Subedar said that ki aa rahe hain army leke, मार दें तुमको. He shouldn't be in a situation that he can't fight with them. Okay, so he just maintained good relations with them. That's the only way to maintain himself in power. Okay, Marathas meanwhile started rising because he was not that effective on the Deccan region, and you will see that while Muhammad Shah Rangila was at the helm of affair in the Mughal empires, Marathas under Baji Rao first, and that's the same Baji Rao on whose the whole movie Baji Rao Mastani and all that was made. So he was the Maratha Peshwa for 20 years between 1720 and 1740, and he started taking northward territories. So starting from Pune, he started moving northwards. So all the till the Malwa region, he took Malwa, Gujarat, Bundelkhand, okay, the region of Raja Chhatrasal and all. Baji Rao first took over, while Mughal emperor was Muhammad Shah Rangila. Okay. What were the major crises? So while Muhammad Shah Rangila was in power in 1739, Nadir Shah attacked, Battle of Karnal was fought, and then Nadir Shah entered Delhi city, massacred huge number of people. In total, looted worth of money worth rupees 70 crores, and also took Darya-e-Noor, Kohinoor, and the Shah Jahan's peacock throne. Okay, that all happened during his reign. Ahmad Shah Abdali also started raiding India while he was at the helm of affairs. Although he died in 1748, the very year Ahmad Shah Abdali started invading area east of Indus. Okay, so Ahmad Shah Abdali was not that influential during his time. But why Nadir Shah attacked India, that is something we have to look into. Okay, and we will look into this, and then we will end the session, and in the next session we will start with Shah Alam II. Okay, so Persia and Afghanistan in 1720s, and let me explain this thing to you, that because this is something which is mentioned in your NCERT. Okay, usually these things are not mentioned in NCERT, but because sometimes it feels like Persia ki history why we are reading, but it is mentioned with the single sole intention behind putting these things in your book is the idea that look, you should not, under no circumstances, under any circumstances, you should not start hating the people of Persia. Next time you meet the Irani, you start hating him or her just because you know that Nadir Shah attacked India. That should not happen, because these are the stories, these are the history 200-300 years back, and what were the reasons happening during those times were very different from today's time. Okay, and therefore NCERT also focuses that because of any of these reasons, animosity shouldn't be generated with the international level, and so almost 1.5 pages given just to explain what happened in Persia, why he attacked India. So I've already explained that before 1730 itself, the Mughal Sultanate has already degraded a lot. So there was always an opportunity. Now after this, you will see that this is Persia, and back then capital was not Tehran, it was Isfahan. Okay, it is right there in center, and it was the capital of Persia. And you will see that Ottoman Empire in 1720s was taking a lot of area of Persia in their control. At the same time, the Tsar of Russia was also trying to take a lot of control of Persian territory. The city of Baku was taken over by Tsar during 1720s only. In 1724, they went to such an extent that Ottoman Empire and Tsar of Russia reached an understanding among each other. It is called as the Treaty of Constantinople 1724, which actually through it they divided the western part of Persia among themselves. By doing so, and since they fought again, and in 1734-35 again the Persians fought a battle with the Ottomans. Under these conditions, Nadir Shah, who came to the helm of affair, he was out of money, and he had no other option but to raid some of the region to generate some wealth to maintain himself in office. Okay, so he came to power by 1730s, in 1734-35, and very soon he understood that the only way to maintain himself in power was to raid some other area and get some wealth and maintain this whole administration of Persia. So what he did, he immediately saw the opportunity of Delhi. Delhi was not that powerful. So he moved and he attacked. That is the reason. Now, when it came to Ahmad Shah Abdali's case, Abdali was a general when Nadir Shah attacked. When Nadir Shah attacked, Abdali actually participated in the whole invasion. Abdali was a part of Nadir Shah's forces. When Nadir Shah passed away, then Abdali left that Persian army and carved out an area under his own influence and first took over Kandahar and then went and took some of the region of in the west also. But when that was not possible anymore, then he started raiding the Indian territories 1748 onwards. Okay, because he came to power in 1747. For Nadir Shah's case, I've learned to mention this thing that he looted such a great amount of wealth from Delhi that when he went back, I just told you that he attacked India because of the reason that his whole empire didn't had any money and people would have killed him if he would have stayed in power without doing anything. So that's why he attacked India. But when he returned with such an amount of wealth that he let go of 3 years of revenue of whole of Persia. Okay, so that was the case, and this is something which won't be asked directly, but you need to know these understanding that rulers do these things. Okay, if suppose I'm just giving you an example, suppose Farrukh Shiar or Muhammad Shah Rangila was also someone of such a caliber. So in the case of when their coffers, their capability reduced, instead of imposing more taxes on Indian people, on Hindus or non-Muslims or doing those things as Jahandar Shah did, they would also have started attacking some of the countries in the northwest. Okay, or did something else, just like the rulers of Afghanistan and Persia did. But the Mughal rulers did anything like that, and that is why they are called as degenerate. It is not about only their personal habits. Okay, so those things you have to keep in mind. So what we will do is we will end the lecture here and we will gather again and we will start right from here in next lecture. Okay, so in the next lecture we will cover Shah Alam, what he did, what was he doing, and then we will summarize all the causes of the decline of the Mughal Empire, and then we'll look at the question numbers. Okay, what were the questions, and then we will move to the lecture number 2. Okay, so those things we will do in the next lecture, because I don't want to extend it beyond a point. We will do in the next lecture, and then we will move to the lecture number 2. Okay, so that agenda, let's keep it for the next session. Okay, I hope you understood this lecture well enough. Let's end the lecture here. Thank you.